Someone once asked me what the point of a concept car is. They said they never looked like the car that ended up on the road, that the final version would never be as fast or economical or as awesome as the company first promised it would be. I stumbled for an answer then, but I have one now. Sod off. Because the BMW i8 is a concept car you can buy. In 2009, BMW released the concept vision Efficient Dynamics at the Frankfurt Motor Show. It was a diesel plug-in hybrid and looked like it had been designed in the year 2020. In 2011, they brought out the i8 concept. Now, this time it was a petrol plug-in hybrid, and once again it was at the Frankfurt Motor Show, because that's the show the Germans go to show off. In 2012, a mildly changed i8 Spider concept appeared, and in 2013, BMW released details of the i8 prototype. Now it's 2014 and the future as envisioned in 2009 is here, and it is breathtaking. Now, I've always admired eco cars, getting as far as you can on as little fuel or energy or what have you, but why do they all have to look so boring? A Nissan Leaf just looks like a spade, a Prius is a stylised slab of yawn, and the futuristic Chevy Volt, well, it's looking a bit dated now, isn't it? But the i8, well, it's remarkably close to its concept. Yeah, the front isn't quite as aggressive and the doors aren't see-through, but still, this is a mix of innovative design and a masterwork in aerodynamics. As such, there are vents and channels all over the place designed to help it slice through the air as cleanly as possible. And they don't detract from it, they just make it look more awesome. And it's got doors that open up rather than out. How cool is that? Looks only get you so far. You can be the most handsome sumbitch in the world, but if you can't, say, do basic maths, you're kinda knackered. BMW knows this, so made the i8 smart. After all, the BMW iCars are the eco-conscious ones. Because this one looks like a supercar, it has to go like one, which it does. 0 to 62 takes just 4.4 seconds. That's quicker than some 991 Series 911s. It tops out at a limited 155 miles an hour. Now that's thanks to 3 power plants. In the middle, there's a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged jobby. Massive turbo on it means it's got 227 horsepower. Driving the front, there's an electric engine with 129 horsepower and 184 pound-foot. There's also a little electric unit that acts as a starter motor, but also plugs any torque gaps there might be to give the i8 a little bit of extra shove. In all, there's 357 horsepower and 420 pound-foot. However, it's not just lots of power plants and lots of go that gives the i8 its shove. That'll be its weight. It'll make a set of scales read 1490 kilos, some 70 less than a manual V8 Audi R8. BMW's managed to get it so light thanks to extensive use of carbon composites. Its passenger cell is a single slab of the stuff. As much as BMW would like to make the whole car from carbon, sadly the explodey battery bits need a bit more protection, so there's an aluminium undertray to hold all of that. The car's exterior panels are made of thermoplastic, aside from the roof that is. There's carbon fibre in there for strength. As well as all of that, the instrument panel is housed in a magnesium frame, and the bits of glass that stop too much engine bay noise getting into the cabin is an acoustic buffer panel sandwiched between 2 pieces of tempered glass, which isn't heavy as your regular compressed sand. So it's light, powerful, and looks like a car designed by Tony Stark. I like these attributes. This could be the most important sports car launch this decade. It's theoretically a mix of eco and sporting cred, but it has to drive well to be any good. The i8 is one of those cars that when you get in it, you realise it's a game changer. You realise this is something pretty special. You step through its door, which opens up, as mentioned earlier, and is awesome, and you see a little bit of the carbon fibre construction. You step over the sill, into the seat, and what you see isn't super mega futuristic. You see a sports car-esque take on a BMW interior. Nothing in here is alien. And unlike the i3, its city car sibling, there's not recycled materials and other kind of hippie-ish things, which is no bad thing. I quite enjoyed it in the i3, but you don't get that in here. It's a proper luxury car. However, this luxury car has a little trick to it, because when you press the start button, there is no noise. The car is activated and you just glide away silently, effortlessly. In Eco Pro and Comfort, the i8 won't use its petrol engine unless it really has to. Unless petrol intervention is required, this is going to be as eco as possible. Electric all the way, right on, etc. But in sport mode, when it uses all the motors, it goes from a nice, quiet, refined car, you just knock it over. And then the petrol engine wakes up and goes, right, time for fun, and it sounds wicked. And it goes, whoa, so quickly. In sport mode, it clings onto the gears as long as possible. It gives you as much time to experience it, all the torque, all the way through the rev range. But it's a super smooth gearbox as well. If you decide to change gear on your own, the changes are, well, you can't really detect them. And when you change up in sport mode, the engine lets out a little woofle noise. The 3-pot makes a wicked little noise as well. It sounds like a proper raughty sports car. And when you consider the view you get from your wing mirror, which is a massive great hoof down the side of the car taken out, it feels special and it just flies. How does it compare to the likes of, say, a 911 or an R8? It's a sports car but with a little bit missing. However, what you don't get in a 911 and an R8 and what you do get in here is that you get that instant electric torque, that instant electric go. In the R8 and the 911, yeah, you get a bit more noise, a bit more viscera. However, this is 99% of them. The current crop of hypercars, the LaFerrari, the P1, the 918 Spider, they all have a very similar setup to this, but they cost around £1 million each. That's because their job is to be super fast mega cars. This is the everyday usable hybrid sports car. It's got the power you need. It's got the power you want. It can provide you with all of the thrills you could possibly want. But at the same time, it's geared to do 135 mpg. Admittedly, I haven't found that at all. I think the best I've mustered so far is just over 40. However, I haven't been treating it as an everyday user would. The commitment to lightweight is staggering. The chief designer wanted to add 10mm to the nose of the car. He wanted to make it just a little bit nicer, make it look just so. He put in the idea and then was summoned to the chief engineer's office to justify his request to add 200 grams to the weight of this car. Thankfully, he won, but still, every decision, every change had to be justified to make sure this thing didn't weigh any more than it absolutely had to. This is BMW's first production stab at a hybrid sports car. And it's 99% as brilliant as any other sports car on the market, but it's super efficient, it's super quick, and it feels brilliant. It just feels incredibly sorted. It's a proper sports car. This is a car that requires very little fuel, is faster than a 911, and is comfy, and is bloody good to drive. As achievements go, this is up there. It's cars like this, and this one especially, and the i3, they're the trailblazers. People are going to have to start copying these guys. Because in 10 years' time, making a car like a Porsche 911 isn't going to be viable. There are going to be emissions regs. There's going to be things to stop cars working in the way that they do now. Whereas twinning a tiny engine with a really torquey electric motor and turbo tech and lightweight and aerodynamics and all of that and extensive use of carbon fibre, it's going to be the only way to do it. This is the first step. This is the genesis, really, of the proper production hybrid sports car. There are a couple of downsides to it. The interior, yeah, it's standard BMW. It could feel a little bit more special, just a little bit. And also the steering isn't great. Like, it isn't super sports car sharp. You know what the wheels are doing, which is a good thing, but even in sport mode, it doesn't feel as heavy as you'd hope it to. And you don't get as much feedback as you'd like. But at the same time, pop it into a corner, give it a little bit of a tickle, it won't bite you, it'll look after you. And it makes lots of lovely noises. The electric motor makes lots of nice little whistles. It whistles you up the road. It feels like a car from a cartoon in the 60s, you know, ones that were set in the future, like the Jetsons. It makes all those whizzes and makes lots of lovely little noises. The i8 has the lowest centre of gravity of any BMW, which is good because, as we all know, a low centre of gravity means a nice, low, sporty drive. That is, in part, thanks to the giant bank of batteries that are down there somewhere, keeping the electric motors going. What it does mean, though, is that, well, this thing looks low. It is very, very small. It's only a little bit taller than a Porsche Cayman, and it means it does cling to the road. It's not quite as wide as you think it is, but it's still wide enough to give it a lovely footprint. This is the no-compromise car. When you want the noisy sports car, you can have one, and it goes like one. The torque just pushes you back in your seat. It handles like one too. It feels like a sports car, but when you decide, no, you're done with that, you just knock it out of sport, and it becomes a quiet, comfortable car. No annoying engine noises, no whirring, no whining, just you, your thoughts, your car. A nice, quiet, comfortable package that looks like a concept car. It's a truly bizarre feeling to be driving one. BMW has proven that this technology actually works in a package that's not only desirable, but also bloody good fun. This is a building block to something far, far greater. And it feels bloody brilliant. Whatever the i8 is like on the road, it, like the i3 City car, is immeasurably important. Not only is this i8 1.0, but it's also the first eco-sports car from a big brand, not a startup, not a company dedicated to EVs and the like, but from a company that's been making cars longer than you've been alive. And when guys like BMW start taking notice of stuff like that, you know you have to pay attention. The world is changing and cars are changing with it. What the i8 is a beginning. And if this thing is this good now, imagine what the next one's going to be like, or even the one after that. We've finally reached the stage where concept is becoming reality.